Rhodium Radio knows how to podcast. Rhodium Radio knows how to podcast. In the city of Wilmington, we keep it rockin'. So come on, shake it for me, Kelly.
Yeah, Dr. Dre is in full effect, and I gotta tell y'all a little something. Eazy-E is down with us. MC Ring, you know he's down with us. DJ Yella is down with us. Arabian Prince, you know he's down with us. Tony A the Wizard is down with us. JJ Fag is down with us. Timmy T, you know he's down with us. DJ Pooh Boy is down with us. Toddy P and Spade, they're down with us. My boy Ice Cube, you know he's down with us. I like to mention, so pay attention to where I'm from, Compton, but the tapes are from the Roadium. My name is Dre, listen while I play. And by the way, I'm also down with NWA. Yo, Steve at the Roadium is down with us. Slanging funky tapes, it is a must. We're number one.
Tony A. Tony A. When you're ready, go.
Once again, everybody, welcome to Rhodium Radio episode 45. And before I introduce my next guest, my special guest, a very interview that I've been anticipating now for a while. But before we introduce him, I want to give a shout out to Jen from Fashion Town for blessing me with his hat. Also want to give a shout out to Shady Baldacci's manager for connecting me with my guest. So much love, much respect to you and to Baldacci. And also, once again, the Rhodium MIXTAPE DOCUMIXERY that I've directed. John Elkins filmed it. It's available at DOCUMIXERY.com. We are working on getting those DVDs out soon, and I will have more Rhodium Classic mixtapes printed up soon for sales. You guys can get those at the website. As of right now, our store has been taken down for our shirts. We're coming up with new shirts, new prices, new printer as well. So, but there'll still be digital prints. But without further ado, please allow me to introduce to you, not only is he a photographer, not only is he a director, producer, and many other things. But you know what? You don't want to hear it from me. Let's hear it from him. Without further ado, Estevan Oriol, thank you for coming, brother.
For sure. Thank you, homie, for inviting me.
You know, there's very few interviews that I get really, really excited for. I've done, this is like my 45th show now. And all of them are great. I love doing this, but there are very few that are unique like this one, because I have, if you will, West Coast history here sitting across from me, and I get to pretty much ask you anything I want, you know. And but before we get into the interview, before we get into your documentary, your books, your history, I wanted to ask you, how was your drive coming over here?
It was pretty good. There wasn't too much traffic. I think it was like 35 minutes. I was running around in Hollywood, so I just got on the freeway and shot over, and it's like pretty much a smooth ride.
Okay, that'll work. Now, I was going to ask you, do you like sports? But I see you're wearing a Raiders jacket.
Yeah.
So you're a big-time Raiders fan?
Yeah, I like them, you know, because back in the day, that's all we wore, you know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much not stuck in the past, but a lot of good memories came out of the past. You know, the late 80s and 90s were, like, for me, my all-time high in life.
Okay.
Just because of all the different movements that were going on.
Yes.
But as far as sports goes, I used to, play in, as a kid, I played baseball, football, stuff like that. But I really enjoy, like, boxing and skateboarding back then, and surfing was cool.
Dope. Give me two of your favorite boxers.
Arturo Gatti and Johnny Tapia.
Wow. Arturo Gatti, rest in peace.
Yeah, both of them rest in peace.
Oh, you're right. Wow, I forgot about that one. Wow.
And of course, for a living, Mike Tyson.
I would say yes to all of those, but I have to throw in Julio Cesar Chavez, because every time he fought, it was like a big-ass fiesta at my house.
Yeah.
So I have to throw him in there. But for me, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. No beef against the Raiders, even though a lot of my friends always talk crap to me, the Cowgirls, whatever. Do you think people are going to have a hard time getting used to saying the Las Vegas Raiders?
No, I don't. You know how The people where the city that they are coming from are, you know, going to be bitter always, but the new cities always embrace them, you know, like the Chargers and the Rams, you know.
Right.
It's kind of like the same type of thing. You know, the cities embrace them because they want somebody to root for.
Right. Well,
And if you don't have a team, you know,
Right.
now you're getting a team, you're like, all right, cool, let's do this.
And you know what? One thing that Las Vegas is really going to bring in a lot of income because of that, and it's going to be a party town when there's games there, you know. But you know what? We have two, or I should say three mutual friends, at least that I know of. Shady, Baldacci's manager. Actually, he's the one that introduced us, connected us together at the, I think, at the record release party that we met.
Downtown.
Yes. Mr. Cartoon, of course.
Yep.
And Soren Baker.
Okay.
Soren Baker, yes.
Yeah.
I met Soren last year. I think I did his show like twice or three times. And I really love talking with Soren. As a matter of fact, we talked not too long ago about doing something together. And he asked me if I was in. And I said, yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. I like the way, I like his style. I like everything about him. But now, for the people that may not know, where were you raised at?
I was born at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised in L.A. You know, grew up on the west side over there.
Okay.
And that's it. Never left.
Oh, okay. And you were telling us that you played sports growing up. Were you really good?
Yeah, I was pretty good, but usually like the positions I played was like the same position like the coach's son would play. So, you know, they always play favorites. So I was like, fuck it, you know.
That's like everywhere.
Yeah, and then I was like, cool. I just went and did like, you know, at the time when I was growing up was in the 80s. So
Yes.
like skateboarding was big and like the whole music scene was big. You know, just there was a lot of different genres of music coming out back then. There was punk rock, new wave, hip hop, you know, all those were brand new to us kids.
Yes.
So there was a lot of little functions around LA that we'd go to. Like, you know, I trip out now that I used to go to clubs, 21 over clubs when I was 16. And I'd fake my ID, you know, because I'd turn the 6 into a 60 and roll up in there and just, you know.
Right.
I played my card every time, and 90% of the time it worked. And I was going and partying in 21 and over clubs at 16 years old, you know. So I got to experience a lot of different cultures from day one.
Okay.
You know.
Is it safe to say that your favorite, if you will, era of music is 80s?
No, I'd say 80s and 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, like the 80s was a good time because that's when everything was first coming out. Like the first hip hop, the first new wave, the first punk rock, you know, all those different cultures were brand new. So you were seeing like an explosion, you know, on the scene, you know. You're like, wow, this is amazing, you know, all these new different things. And then the 90s came and everybody was locked into the groove, you know. Now everybody knew, you know, what hip hop was and what direction they were going to take it into. You know, they're in like 88, NWA had come out already. So everybody in the 90s was like, okay, we're going to either do gangster rap, backpack rap, or, you know, just regular commercial shit, you know. So it was cool to see all that happening. And, you know, to me, I just went towards the gangster rap because that's what, you know, what I liked, you know, was LA, and that was what was hot back then.
That's dope.
And it was just a trip to me and my friends think about it now that we were around when all this stuff was first coming out, you know. We lived the first wave of everything.
Yes, yes.
That everybody thought was going to be a fad, and it's not, you know.
Right.
Like you look at hip hop now, it's probably one of the biggest money making industries in the world.
Absolutely.
You know, so I mean, so much for that being a fad, you know. But I remember I used to make, like, people would go, hey, we're going to this party and stuff like that, and I would sit home and record the KDAY Saturday Night Jams and the master mixes, you know, with the cassette tape. And I had like 2 cassette players that were side by side, so I could, you know, take out the commercials and all that shit and just have it play all the way through. And, you know, that was just that era.
Right. You just brought back a lot of good memories because when people always ask me, about when did you have your best years, and for some reason I always have to go back to junior high school. Now it's called middle school. For me, it was junior high because I was introduced to obviously a lot of funk. I was introduced to scratching when I first heard the record Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. I was introduced to new wave. I was introduced to rock, even introduced to disco, and so I would say junior high and a little bit of high school, the electro funk started coming in really big with Play at Your Own Risk, Looking for the Perfect Beat, Planet Rock, etc. And during that time, I used to pop, and then I tried to get into breaking, but I wasn't that good. Did you ever dabble a little bit in popping and breaking back in the days?
Yeah, of course. Like that was the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody was trying that, and everybody go out to the club and try and get your little thing on in the circle, and it was fun, but I wasn't as good as like those guys that were the shit,
Right.
Like when the clubs that I go to were the clubs where like Sugar Pop was going and doing shit like that, So
Oh, wow.
you would see those guys breaking in clubs and you're like, oh, I'm cool, I'm just gonna watch them from the sideline.
Yeah, well, but you said Sugar Pop. I haven't heard that name in years, man.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever, going in with a fake ID, did you ever get caught?
Yeah. That's why I meant like 90% of the time it worked.
Oh shit.
And 10% of the time they would wipe it off with their thumb. Like they'd pull it out and wipe it off with their thumb. They'd get out of here, kid,
I often share this story that the first time I ever went to a nightclub, I was 11 years old. My brother was DJing at a club in Long Beach, and he snuck me in. And that's only because I was a little bit taller. I had just graduated to 6th grade, and he'd taken to this club. So that's when I was first introduced to funk. I remember the first song was Ray Parker Jr., Still in the Groove, and then All Night Thing by Invisible Man's Band, all that good stuff, and then I think I turned I want to say 18 years old, and I found a fake ID, and I thought the guy kind of looked like me. It said there was one problem. I used to get into all the strip clubs. I used to get into some of the clubs. A lot of times they'd just say no. And then finally one guy took it away from me, and I said, why? That's me. And he goes, yeah, it looks like you, but this guy's 5'2", and you're about 6 something. And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I tried to lie. That was when I was short though.
Yeah.
So, but now, growing up here in LA, you know what? I'm going to ask you this question for myself because I have the utmost respect for Mark, Mr. Cartoon. How did you end up meeting him?
My friend Donnie Charles, rest in peace. He introduced me to him at a Penthouse Players record release party in Hollywood at the Hollywood Athletic Club on Sunset. And Donnie Charles, at that time, he was the manager of WC in the Mad Circle, and he had a record label called Hood Rat Records. He had a car club called Hood Rat, Car Club, and he was really dialed into the whole LA gangster rap, like hip hop, scene. And I knew Donnie from going to the clubs and all that. And then I bought a 64 Impala like in 1989, and around 1991ish, he said, "Hey, what are you gonna do with this car?" And I was like, of course I'm a lowrider, because he had a bunch of lowriders. And he was like, when? I was like, as soon as I get like 20 racks saved up. And he's like, nah, that's not how it works. We're gonna do this shit right now. And he's like, hey, grab my tools out of the back, So we're right there on the sidewalk at my pad in Hollywood. Started taking my car apart, and then I just started building that to, what it is today. And we were really tight. We went to the clubs together. We did low riding shit together. And one night he told me, hey, I'm going to this Penthouse Players record release party. Come with me. So I went up there, and back then it was hip hop events were mostly African American. You'd see a couple, like white guys that worked at the labels, and a couple Latinos, but it was really like slim when you go in there.
Right.
So we walk in, and right away, I seen Cartoon, and Donnie goes, hey, there's my other Mexican homie. Let's go over there and introduce you to him, and you guys could kick it together. And we had, a lot of the same, same things that we liked in common, the cars, the same type of music. You know, we were both single, young, and we're like, you know, both of us thought each other was cool. And we're like, damn, you know, let's kick it. You know, because I had just come back from Japan with House of Pain, and I had the first single cassette, you know, the promo cassettes. So I was like, hey, this is this band I got a new job with. You know, I just got back from Japan, and he was going to Japan to mural some lowriders. And I was like, you know, check this group out, and when you get back, let's go lowriding or do some, you know, go to clubs or something. And so we just started hanging out little by little, and then just started kicking it more and more. And we both got into the same car club. We both were building cars simultaneously, and
That's dope. The rest is history.
yeah, the rest is history.
Dope. Now, one thing that I've heard about you, that at one point you were actually a bouncer at clubs.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? Did you just apply? Hey, man, you know what?
No, I'm trying to remember. I guess from going to the club so much and being that I was known in the club world, and I was, you know, bigger and in good shape. One of my friends was like, hey, can you work the door at my club tonight?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like an underground type club.
Okay.
That's how I started out, working with the underground clubs and the one-off clubs. And, you know, so once you start, it just starts, you know, like snowballing.
Right.
And I started, you know, because if you're working at one night at a good club, the other promoters come to that night because they're going to do a club the next night, and they're promoting their club.
Okay.
They're like, hey, this club, you know, let's go to this club on Saturday and promote our club for next Wednesday. So you'd meet other promoters, and they'd see how you were working. They'd be like, hey, you want to work at our club on Wednesday night? And so I would just start working, you know, maybe 4 or 5 nights a week at clubs. And I was doing construction during the day. So it's just, you know, extra couple $100 a night, you know.
Wow. And did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, because I was meeting a lot of people. You know, at that time I was young, and, you know, I got to meet everybody that was in the industry, because a lot of actors would come to clubs, or people in music groups, and then, you know, all the girls and everything. So I was the front guy that everybody had to come through to get into the club. So everybody was always cool to me, because I was the guy that would say yeah or no, you know. So I got to be friendly with pretty much everybody in that world.
Dope. You know, my brother, who was the DJ in the city of Long Beach, he also was the bouncer when he was in DJing.
Yeah.
So he was always kind of like a husky guy, you know, big mouth, pushing dudes around or whatever. He would never let anybody come in drunk.
Yeah.
You know, because he wanted them to buy there. You know,
Yeah,
but he would always say, man, you're drunk, you know, your breath stink, go get some coffee across the street, sober up and come back. And that's what he would do. And then on Saturday nights, he would DJ. But now, if I'm correct, I believe you met Muggs, DJ Muggs, the producer of Cypress Hill, at a club?
Yeah.
Okay, is that how your guys' relationship had started?
Yeah, that's how we met. And then he wanted to introduce me to the other guys in the group, you know, Sen and B. So in '89, he took me down to Cypress Ave, and that's where I met those guys. And at that time, B was too young to come to clubs, but since I was a doorman, you know, I was like, hey, I'm working at this club, you know. And he was like, well, I'm too young, you know. I go, yeah, you guys just come, bring some girls, and, you know, I'll shoot you in, because I work the door.
Yeah.
And we all became friends like that. And then in '92, Muggs hit me up he's like, hey, I want to, you know, see if you want to work with us. And I was like, oh, cool, I get to work with Cypress, you know. He's like, no, it's for another group I got called House of Pain, some white boys. And for like 2 seconds in my head, you know, before he told me who it was, I was thinking like, it's either going to be like a third base kind of group or a Vanilla Ice type thing, you know.
Right.
But I should have known better, you know, because Muggs was doing it. So he goes, no, it's Everlast from Rhyme Syndicate. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, let's do this. I know him because I knew him from coming to the clubs.
Yeah.
And then we met up, the three of us, and they told me what it was going to be the road manager. You know, the different stuff you had to do, like make sure the band gets to the shows on time, and make sure they do all their interviews, just the little stuff you do in the beginning stages.
Right.
Not knowing what that song was gonna do and how fast it was gonna go, but they were pretty much saying, you know, it was like a summer job. All expenses would be paid, the plane tickets, the hotels, and you get per diem, you know, like spending money. And if the band took off and started making money, then you would get paid. So I hit up both of my bosses that I work for at the clubs and the construction. I was like, hey man, is it cool if I go do this job? And they go, yeah, you got your job here anytime, you know. This isn't going nowhere, and this isn't gonna go nowhere for you, you know.
Right.
So go do that.
About how old were you when you did this?
92. I'd say I was 27, 26, about
Okay.
26 and some
Okay.
change, yeah.
Wow. You know, the first time I ever saw Everlast, I want to say it was 88. It could be 89, but I believe it was 88. It was at the Anaheim Celebrity Theater, and Ice-T, he was the headliner. NWA was performing there. The DOC performed there that night as well. King T, Mixmaster Spade, Pooh, DJ Aladdin, all those guys was there, but Everlast was opening up for all of them. And one thing that Everlast, I used to like that song because he was rapping to Do Wah Diddy, if I'm correct,
Yeah.
back then when he was a Rhyme Syndicate. And it makes sense now because Ice-T was the headliner, you know. That's when the first time I saw him, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but that's kind of when he had the hair, almost like a pompadour in a sense,
Yeah.
but he had a long hair.
Yeah.
And now, you said something about Cypress Hill because I'm a huge Cypress Hill fan. I actually had an opportunity when I was working on Mellow Mayonnaise's album between 96 and 98. This album never came out, but I produced a song for Be Real and Sen and Mellow all at once. It never came out though. And I was telling Be Real how when I first got his demo, how it seemed like, at least in my neighborhood, like I was the only one that was digging it. You know, I loved his voice. I loved the music. I loved Muggs' production. I knew Muggs was just a dope ass DJ to begin with, but to hear his production and see how different it was, I used to tell people, this is going to either fall flat on his face or it's going to change the game. I said, there is no in between with this one.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, that shit is whack. When you first got the demo, when you met those guys, what was your opinion about their first album?
I thought it was gonna blow up right off the top because, like, Muggs gave me a demo tape in like '89, so I had it 2 years before the album came out.
Wow.
And I would play that shit in my car, you know, when people would come in, because I liked it, and I thought they were talking about some gangster shit, gangster LA shit, but they weren't playing like Roger and Zapp, you know, wasn't sampled in every song like most of the, like a lot of the West Coast hip hop at that time had like a lot of funk songs.
Yeah.
Whereas Muggs had more like a grimy, dirty style of production. So when you hear that LA gangster shit on maybe maybe like a New York style production,
Yes.
the marriage of those two was just, to me, it was sick, right?
It was
right
sick.
from the gate, you know. I was like, fuck, this shit is hard. And everybody I would play it for in my car were like, hey, let me get a copy of that. And I was like, nah, you know, you only get to hear it in my ride, that's it.
That's it.
Because, you know, Muggs was like, hey, you know, you could play this for people, but make sure you don't copy it for nobody, you know. And I was like, yeah, I got you. So everybody would only get to hear it when they're, you know, in my presence.
Chilling
and
with you,
That
yeah.
was it. And they'd always like hit me up like, hey man, you know, that's, you know, the next time they come in, they, hey, play that Cypress Hill shit, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. You know, the record label that I was with, Hollywood Records, which was owned by Disney, we found out later because Steve YANO, who was our manager, that used to sell out the Rhodium swap meet, he gave me a demo. He goes, tell me what you think about this group. That's how I got the demo, was from him. He got it from the record label. He said, Hollywood Records passed up on them. That's what it is. And I said, for real? Let me check it out. But I loved it because I know they had a song Pigs, and then it came out with How I Could Just Kill a Man. And then I remember it came out with the, I think it was Pittsburgh Great Pump. The one that started,
Hand on the Pump.
Oh my God. When I heard that shit, I was like, oh. You know, it was just a game changer. And after that, everybody was trying to be Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
You know, and I performed with them, I want to say in Atlanta. And it was so weird because I heard this insane beat, and it was their intro music when they came up on stage, San B and Muggs. And I heard this insane beat, and I was like, that shit is, it's fucking amazing. I thought that shit, they came out, hyped up the crowd. Cypress Hill has always rock crowds.
Yeah.
Always. So now I'm in San Francisco, and I share that story because of this. And some guy comes up to me, and he's kind of bald-headed, has a little bit of hair. He's got like some camouflage pants. He's got some tribal stuff jumping off. And he walks up to me, he goes, hey, what's up, Tony A? And I turned around. I didn't recognize him. And I said, hey, what's up, man? He goes, yeah, it's me, Everlast. And that was the first time I met him. And I said, oh, really? And I go, wow, you look different. He goes, yeah, I'm changing my whole style. He said, and I got a new song coming out. And I was like, oh, yeah, who produced it? He goes, Muggs, you want to check it out? And I was like, all right. Now, keep in mind, this is the first time I've ever met him.
Yeah.
We go back to his room. This was at a convention called the Gavin in San Francisco. You might have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he takes me back to his room and he plays it in the boombox. And I hear that same beat that Muggs was hyping up the crowd with. But I thought that song was fucking amazing. Okay. Now, I did think because of the Crisscross song, the jump.
Yeah.
You know. But obviously that didn't seem to bother it because this one actually outlasted this other one, the Crisscross one. Now, when you started managing them, did it take a while or did it take off immediately?
No, it took off immediately. Like
Okay.
it was right out the gate. And I know that Joe Nicolo produced that Crisscross song,
Yes.
and he had taken the idea from the Everlast song and gave it to the kids, you know. So there was like a little bit of beef between them, but it worked out, you know. One was like a poppy song and one was a straight, you know, raw hip hop song. So I think that's why it outlasted that one, because it wasn't, the kids were kind of like a gimmicky type group put together.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it outlasted that, you know, because they came out with their clothes on backwards and they're two little kids, and Everlast was a veteran in the game already, and he was affiliated with Cypress Hill, so that had more power than the two young kids.
Yeah, and I remember I told him, man, this shit's going to take off, man. I said, that shit is hard. And I remember I brought up the Crisscross, and if I'm correct, at the end of Jump, I think he kind of says something.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's right. And I used to like, who was he talking about? But then I found out the story.
Yeah.
You know, so you're road managing, and how were you enjoying that? And really, I guess the ends weren't really coming in at the moment. You know.
Well, it only took about a month, I'd say.
Okay.
Where I wasn't making no money, I was just getting, you know, my walk around money. And we were doing a promo tour, so we were going to all the radio stations. We were going to all the college radio stations. We like Stretch and Babito in New York, and we were doing all those little small independent type things.
Yes.
And the song was taking off on that level so fast that we started booking like little shows, and the show was on a DAT tape, and I remember it was like 7 minutes long, so it had jump around and an intro. And we started booking shows, like, you know, it's kind of weird to say, but like we'd book one song show at all these clubs. Like, you know, the club would be playing hip hop, and then we would come in and do the 7-minute DAT tape and take off. And most of the clubs, when we first got to them, they're mostly black clubs, you know?
Yes.
So we would see people, we'd walk through just straight up black clubs, and you'd hear people when you're walking by, who's these white motherfuckers in here? You know, you'd hear them, they start tripping on you. And then we'd walk straight to the back and go in the back room, and then the song would come out, and you'd see everybody losing their shit. When you hear dun, 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 it's fucking going crazy. And then these dudes would come out, and they're like, oh shit, that was the white boys that were walking through the front door, you know, and then they're like, fuck. These white boys get down. And that's how it was for like the first couple months. And then we got on a Beastie Boy tour, and that, you know, we were on that for like half of the time we were booked on it. And at that time, the song was taking off so big on every radio station, and Everlast got into a confrontation with the tour manager of BC Boys, so we got kicked off that tour.
Oh, wow.
But it was kind of like we were like too rowdy for them, which was weird. It was like, you know, we thought of the BC Boys, you know, they're like the rowdiest, like, you know, punk rock hip hoppers. But they had been, you know, in the scene for a little bit, so they kind of, you know, got used to what it was. And then we came in, and we were a little bit on the rowdy side, so we got kicked off that tour, and it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because then, you know, the booking agent, which was Kara Lewis with William Morris, she was like, okay, cool, no problem, you know, I can get you guys your own shit. And we just started ripping and, you know, rolling all over the world.
Dope. Now I know for a while you were the road manager, and after a while you even became, if I'm correct, Cypress Hill's DJ.
Well, what happened was I was with House of Pain in 92, 93, 94. Okay. And then they broke up. And at that same time, the tour manager for Cypress Hill was doing some shady shit. So I called them up and I was like, hey, man, you know, this ain't working out with these guys, you know, thank you, you know, for the opportunity. And, you know, it was fun while it lasted. And they're like, oh, well, that's perfect timing because our dude's tripping over here. So you could just come in and take his spot. So my first show with them was Woodstock 94. Wow. And you know, it's a crazy ass. That's probably the craziest show I've ever.
We're gonna press stop right there because I want to continue that after break, okay? Yeah. Because I've seen the video on YouTube, and it did look fucking insane. And I want you to, if you can give us a little bit of details of what was taking place that day. Yeah. Okay, dope. Okay, everybody. Once again, call somebody, text somebody, slap the shit out of somebody, let them know that Estevan is in the house. Okay, we're talking hip hop history. We're gonna get a little bit more into his history as far as the photographer, director, and what can we expect later on his documentary on Netflix that I believe will be coming out soon. So go grab a Modelo. We'll be back in 10 minutes. And once again, get somebody and tell them to log on. We're in the building.
Hey, Tony, drop that. What, please? I bet. My name is The Croft, the CRAWFORD, the poet high C. Tony A, the wizard, just as cool as a blizzard. Thinking out of turn, stabbing pussy like a lizard. Ooh, so sorry, homie, I didn't mean to say that. In the house, come on, won't you play that funky dope beat? You know you gotta throw me some Stanley's ass crop coming straight from the Roadium.
You are now about to witness
Tony A. Get funky. Tell her where you from. You don't think how I'm living? Well, fuck you. Moon on a Saturday night in LA. Yo, feeling kinda funky. Stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. What the hell are you looking for? Can a young man make money anymore? Where my jewels are like freaking on the floor? Or is it my job to make sure I'm poor? Disruptions is horrible, nourish not justify. Those that live at the FBI, look at mama's baby.
What it do, it's Mr. Little One chilling on Rhodium Radio with the one and only Tony A and John motherfucking Elkins, boy.
Hey, what up? It's your boy Mr. Shadow. You're watching Roadium Radio with my homeboy Tony A the Wizard. You know what time it is.
Yeah, what up? This is Mr. Night Owl, and you're listening to Roadium Radio with the legendary Tony A the motherfucking Wizard.
Yo, what's cracking? Nosotros somos Aqua y estamos aquí con Tony A the Wizard. You know Rhodium Radio, damn it. You know what it is.
Yo, what up? This is Mellow Man Ace and Padrino, and you tuned in to Rhodium Radio with my man Tony A. Keep it locked.
Yo, what's cracking? It's your boy OG Arabian Prince from the world's most dangerous group, NWA. Sitting here with my boy Tony A the Wizard on Rhodium Radio.
What's up? This is Esther Daz, the Spanish Fly Harbor area's finest. Tune in to Tony A on Rhodium Radio.
What's up, everybody? It's your homegirl Magic Girl, and you are now listening to Rhodium Radio with Tony A the Wizard.
Yo, what's up? This is Bozo, aka Emiliano. You tune into Rhodium Radio on Tony Vision's YouTube channel. Let's get it.
What up? It's Mr. Soto. You guys are now in tune to Rhodium Radio right here on Tony Vision on YouTube. Yep.
Check it out. This is MC Poncho on the MIC. Shout out to Tony A the Wizard, Rhodium Radio. You already know. What up, this is DJ Trick, Spanish Fly, and you're watching Tony A on the Roadium Radio Show.
Big G, Rhodium Radio, Tony A in full effect. Stay tuned, watch, listen. This is how we doing it over here.
Yo, what up? I'm out here. This Big Daddy Swoles. I'm jamming with my man, Tony A the Wizard, out here on Rhodium Radio. The podcast is off the hook. Check us out.
This is DJ Clientele, and you are listening to Rhodium Radio with Tony A the Wizard.
Yeah, this Baby Bounce here with Tony A the Wizard. You are now tuned in to the Rhodium Radio. We do it for the people. You hear me?
Mic check. Ernie G from Proper Dos, and I'm listening to Tony A the motherfucking Wizard on Rhodium Radio. And if you don't know, you should know.
What's up, everybody? This is Soren Baker. I'm the author of the book, The History of Gangster Rap, in stores now worldwide. And you're listening to Rhodium Radio, hosted by Tony A. Make sure to check it out. We talk about the Rhodium mixtapes. We're here. Soren Baker, Rhodium Radio.
Y'all, this is Really Greg, and I'm chilling with Tony the Wizard on Rhodium Radio.
Yo, this is Daniel Jones, the D to the motherfucking G Media Clips. Here with your boy, Tony A the Wizard on the Rhodium Radio Show.
Hey, this is Swifty Blue. I'm right here at Rhodium Radio with Tony A the Wizard. Stay tuned.
It's the KAS here live on Rhodium Radio with the one and only Tony A the Wizard.
What up, y'all? This is Kiki Smooth, the first Mexican rapper out of Compton, rich and ruthless, and you're listening to the Rhodium Radio with Tony A the Grand Wizard, El Mago himself. Hey, Compton's in the house.
What's up? It's Quite the Yes Guy with my Harbor Ottawa homeboy Tony A the Wizard on Rhodium Radio. Yes, guy.
Hey, what's up, gente? It's your homeboy Duende. You're tuned into Rhodium Radio with my homeboy Tony A the Wizard. Ya te la sabes, wey.
What up? It's your boy Baldachi the Beast, Afro Music, the face of LA. Right here at Rhodium Radio. Make sure y'all tune in. Your boy Tony A the Wizard.
What's up? This is DJ Dominator, and you're listening to Tony A on Rhodium Radio.
This is Kelvin Anderson, owner of the world famous VIP Records, and you listen to my man Tony A the Wizard on Rhodium Radio.
Yeah, what up? It's Lil Blackie, the Brown Super Baller, and you checking out Rhodium Radio with the homeboy Tony A the Wizard.
Yo, what's cracking? It's your boy OG Big Wicked, Real Ones Apparel, Orange County. I here with my boy Tony A the Wizard, Rhodium Radio. Y'all make sure to peep it. Peace.
Que tranza raza, aquí su servidor, Sinful and Pecador, and you listening to Rhodium Radio with my boy Tony A the Wizard.
Check. What's up? It's your boy Capital I Man from the Mexican Crew, and you're tuning into Rhodium Radio with my boy Tony A the Wizard. Motherfucker's a legend.
Bah! What's up, y'all? This is Chris the Glove, and you're watching the Rhodium Radio Show on Tony Vision on YouTube.
What's up? This is Mr. D on Rhodium Radio, kicking back with the homeboy, Tony A.
Yo, this is Fancy the Boss. Tune in on YouTube at Rhodium Radio with Tony A the Wizard.
What's up? This is Leo Farsayer, aka the Dragon, the Serpent, the Spear. I'm on Rhodium Radio with my boy Tony the Wizard.
Hey man, Nick V and Eric V, the Baker Boys in the house, hanging out with Rhodium Radio and the one and only Tony the Wizard.
Tony the Wizard, aka Kylo Ren, right here on YouTube, Sundays and Wednesdays.
Tony Vision, subscribe now.
Tony Vision, yeah.
Boys, big baby.
What's good with it? This is old creep, aka Jay Stompanato. I'm putting it down for Orange County on the Rhodium Radio Show by West Coast legend DJ Tony A. We up and out this bitch.
What's up with it, dog? It's West Coast Gilly on Rhodium Radio with the legend Tony A the Wizard on Tony Vision. You know what it is, West Coast to the fullest, believe that.
Yo, what's up? This is John motherfucking Elkins, and you're tuned into Rhodium Radio with my homeboy DJ Tony A the Wizard.
What up, West Coast and all hip-hop fans? This is your girl, Violet Brown, and I'm here with Tony A the Wizard. And if you're rolling with us right now, that means that you love West Coast hip-hop. And if you want to know the real deal from the real players, the real people behind the scenes, you better pick up Tony's new film, Roadium Mixtape DOCUMIXERY. You get it by going to DOCUMIXERY.com. You better get this, and I want to do a special shout out and a rest in peace to my man Steve YANO. I'm out.
go tear shit up. Hey, yo, D, you got a level? D, hit record, man.
Get busy with Easy and Tony A on the 12 techniques, see? Here's a little something by a nigga like me. They never should have been the guy take from the team. Yo, this is your main man team. You don't like Tony A, well, I'm rocking shit out of the Rhodium. Let's do 1, 2, 1, 2. Right about now, you need to motherfucking drop that baby.
These right here are the ultimate breaks and beats. These were introduced to the West Coast by Steve YANO. They came from the East Coast to the West Coast and they were sold only at the Roadium. You can still see the Rhodium sticker there. And these are called, once again, the ultimate breaks and beats. If you're a DJ or a producer, you better know what these are. If not, don't call yourself a DJ or a producer. Me and High C right here, we know about these. Back in the day, I would have doubles of everything. Here's a quick story. When Ice Cube left NWA, he came over to my pad and I was playing some beats for him. Before he left to New York to do his album, America's Most Wanted, he actually asked me if he can borrow a set of my Ultimate Breaks and Beats. I let him borrow it, never saw the dude again, man. I guess that's what he meant by Jacket for Beats. But you know what? Much love to Ice Cube. He helped put not only Compton, South Central, but West Coast on the map. So much love to him. But once again, these are the records that Steve introduced to the West Coast. You don't believe me? Ask Dr. Dre. Once again, everybody, welcome back to Rhodium Radio, episode 45. And I'm not going to bullshit, so we're going to go ahead and jump right back into it. Esteban, you're good?
Yep, I'm
okay.
ready.
You know what? During the commercial break, we were talking, and we were going to talk a little bit about the Woodstock.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you share a little bit about that? Well, let me ask you this, because there were so many people there, over 100,000, if I'm correct?
500,000.
500. Oh my God. 500,000. How did you get to the stage? Or how did you even get there? I had heard some people got there. Again, these may be stories. I'm not sure. Some people got there by helicopter. Some people got there by boat.
Those were the only two ways in. And those guys had caught the flight before us, so they got in on boat. And me and Bobo was coming, I think, he left the BC Boys tour. He was coming, I think, from Florida. And I was coming from LA, and we were meeting in the airport there. And then we were going to drive out to wherever the helicopter took us from. And me and him rode in with Jefferson Starship.
Oh, wow.
And it was two of them and us two.
Okay.
And we flew on the helicopter together, Jefferson airplane, and then landed backstage, and Henry Rollins was on stage. So me and a couple of the other guys that were, the Cypress crew guys, we set up the equipment, and then they went on. And in the beginning, we were watching the Henry Rollins show. And it was kind of like a regular festival, it was like, people were rocking out and, digging the music and bobbing their head and, throwing up their hands and stuff like that. But when Cypress came out, it just went buck wild.
Erupted.
It erupted, exploded. Like there was it had rained, I guess, the previous days. So there was water and mud, and they laid down plywood underneath all the fans. But couple songs into the show, the fans had taken the plywood off, and it was like a huge mud pit, and they were putting the plywood above their heads and putting like a little skinny guy or a girl up on top of the plywood, and they would pass the plywood through the crowd. So the guy was like actually crowd surfing on a piece of plywood.
Wow, crowd surfing.
Yeah, they were like, usually people do a stage dive and they pass them along,
yes,
like pass their body along through the crowd. But this time it was actually on top of a piece of plywood, and it was like the coolest, wildest show I've ever seen.
Wow. Now I can only imagine the view from the helicopter when you guys are getting there.
Oh yeah,
just see a sea of people.
Yeah, it was like, like I said, it was the craziest thing I ever seen and done. And like, just flying backstage into a concert in a helicopter is crazy enough, but let alone flying into Woodstock with 500,000 people that had been there already for a couple of days. And it was just like one of the best experiences. And I had been taking pictures already, but it was only a hobby. So I didn't really think to take pictures like from the helicopter or in the helicopter and all that shit. So I missed all those, but I did get a few shots of the guys performing and also them on stage.
Okay.
But I meant by them performing, I meant they both, Sen and Be Real, both dove into the crowd.
Oh, wow.
And they were getting passed along, like I was saying, and rapping at the same time. And back then, like now, a lot of the rappers or performers, they do like, there used to be a band back in the day called Milli Vanilli.
Yes.
And they would just lip sync to the tracks playing.
Mm-hmm.
And they got, destroyed for that,
Yeah.
One guy killed himself.
Yeah.
And then they got a hold of Jessica Simpson's sister, I think Ashley Simpson.
Yes.
For lip syncing one time on Saturday Night Live or whatever. But now, like, every rapper does that. They just pop their CD in and out the computer and they just rap with the lyrics or playing. Like, you'll see them running out of breath and they put the mic down, but their lyrics are still going.
Yeah.
Which back in the day, you couldn't do that.
Couldn't do that.
So when Be Real and Sen jumped into the crowd, there was none of that.
Right.
There was no track backing them up. So they had to perform while people were taking their shoes off, and the fans were just ripping them apart.
Souvenirs.
Yeah, they wanted souvenirs. Like, oh my God, I got Be Real shoe from Woodstock. Shit like that. So he went in, shoes, shirt, pants, and came back with his shirt half ripped off and his shoes. And I was getting flicks of all that. But then when it came time to him coming back in the crowd, I kind of had a couple of us from the crew had to pull him back in, but they were holding on, and we were like tug of warring with him and shit like that.
Wow.
But that was one of the most off the hook shows I've ever seen.
Yeah. Now, just as a DJ as well and as a producer as myself, I like to ask, because the majority of the time that me and High C, when we performed, the most that they'll ever book us for 20-25 minutes. The majority of the time it was 15 minutes. Okay, but we had shows where we do 20-25 minutes. How long was Cypress Hill set, if you could remember, at Woodstock?
At Woodstock, I would say maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Wow, so they had some prime time, if you will.
Yeah, and they kicked it off, like once that happened, the whole crowd got into every other band following them, like just as wild. And, like that when you see the crowd going that wild, that pumps you up to do a better show. So
absolutely.
Once everybody saw them explode during Cypress Hill, they were like, "Oh, this is going to be amazing," and everybody went out and had a great show, and it was sick,
That was dope. Now somebody, and I usually try to look at some of the questions on the live chat, and if they're good and they're worth it, I'll ask. But this is one that I have already had as well. So, how did you meet, and when did you meet Psycho Realm?
I met them in the mid '90s. Be Real had signed them already. He met them at Plaza de la Raza, Olivera.
Okay.
Street. Yeah, that's right. So they were doing a show there. He met them there, and they chopped it up or whatever. Ended up signing them, and at the same time, there was I think Temples of Boom had come out. So the label was, more interested in, like, instead of doing a new project, they were like, let's promote this album right now. This is off the hook right now. So we started. They were, the guys. They both worked for me. They were helping me with my clothing company back then, because we were all together like a big group, you know, the
Okay.
Soul Assassins and there was like Cypress Hill, House of Pain, Funk Dubious, and then Psycho Realm was coming under Be Real, and Muggs had his own project, and Sen had his own project. So we were all trying to help each other and push each other, you know, when we had the position
Yeah.
to bring in new projects and use that platform to promote those. So at that time they were hanging out, they were signed, but nothing was really happening with the record.
Okay.
And they were working for me with the clothing company at the warehouse. So I would start playing every time I'd come home, I'd get more songs from, like, Duke would hand me a cassette and be like, hey, check out these new ones. And I would bring it on the road with me and play it with Be Real, you know. I was like, hey, the homies are doing some sick new songs, you know.
Yeah.
And so then we started bringing them out at that time too. Sen wasn't really tripping on going on tour. He was like disappearing. He wouldn't come, and you know, he was just like, fuck it, I'm over it touring, you know.
Right.
So we had to bring people in to fill in his place, because we still kept touring regardless of if people didn't show up or not. There were, you know, like Muggs was doing a lot of remixes at that time for huge bands, so he would make the same amount of money doing a remix than he would the whole tour. Right. So he would stay home and do remixes for like U2 or Janet Jackson, or, you know, these big groups.
Yeah.
And so I think that Muggs not being on the road, and Sen kind of was like, you know, we're not really the whole real Cypress Hill here, you know, fuck it, you know, I don't feel like touring no more, I'm not gonna go. But we were all like, you know, doing mushrooms and, you know, had weed and doing our own trip.
Yeah.
And one of the big bands that we were influenced by that we were listening to was Pink Floyd.
Okay.
And Pink Floyd has changed a lot of members throughout their years. You know, the one guy, Sid Barrett, they used to like put acid in his coffee and didn't tell him and shit, and he ended up flipping out and going on a good one on acid and never really, you know, came back right.
Wow.
Then they had Roger Waters, and he ended up doing his own thing, and so then there was the Dave Gilmour ended up taking over the band, and they were just, you know, bringing in other members to fill in those gaps, but they always kept touring as Pink Floyd. And we got inspired by that and thought, you know, well, if, you know, these guys don't want to come on the road, we got to keep the ball rolling, keep the, you know, the fans happy, keep doing the shows, and it'll keep the whole machine moving forward. Because if B would have said, hey, fuck it, you know, nobody else, these two guys don't want to tour, I'm not touring, it's over, it would have been over right then and there.
Right.
But we're like, nah, let's keep doing this. You know, Bobo could, you know, play percussion. I'll DJ, or, you know, Ralph M will DJ, and then Julio G DJ. You know, like now it's Mixmaster Mike. Like, there was always somebody that could play the music.
Yes.
Bobo was playing the percussion, and there was always Be Real was in the front, you know, doing his part. So we would just bring in different players to do Sen's parts.
Okay.
While Sen wasn't feeling like, you know, touring. And then, you know, that's when we brought in Duke and them to fill in that space.
Okay.
And, you know, we had like one of the guys from Muggs' group, Call the Wild, he filled in. We had another guy, Shag, from Be Real's Hood, he filled in that spot. So we always had somebody new and fresh filling in that spot. And from that, we were able to promote, you know, Psycho Realm and get, you know, put them in their own place.
Yeah.
And put out their own record with Be Real on it. Because originally it was 3 guys, and one of the guys dropped out. So then it was Be Real moved in and got that spot. And it was B, Jack, and Duke. And then Cartoon did the logo and the artwork, and I did all the visuals, the first 2 videos, and the album packaging, the publicity photos. And they were on their way. And then, you know, Duke had that accident, and And that was it for that.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to touch on something that you brought up pertaining to Woodstock. You said you were taking pictures. Was that always something just of a hobby that you did when you were on the road?
Yeah, it was just, my dad tripped out on the kind of lifestyle I was living. Like, you know, 1 minute I'm low riding in East LA with my car club, and the next minute I'm flying around the world doing these tours. And he was like, man, you should, you know, take a camera with you. You know, me and my wife got an extra camera, take that with you, and you know, shoot that stuff, you know, shoot the cars. Like, he'd shown me pictures of cars from my car club that he took in the 80s.
Wow.
And he was like, I go, hey Dad, I got in this car club. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, I got some photos of them, and showed me those photos. And I was like, oh shit, you know, these are legendary, iconic cars. Like Dress to Kill and Twilight Zone, you know, they're super famous cars in the lowriding community. And my dad had shot them, you know, maybe 10 years prior to me joining the club.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool, you know, knowing that whole thing. And that kind of like got me pumped up to do more photos and in the lowriding community. And then I started taking pictures at all the shows.
Okay.
Backstage and on stage, and different places we'd go. Like if we go to Paris, I'd take a picture of the Eiffel Tower, you know, the common like kind of touristy type stuff. And then I just started getting more and more into like the hood photos, and people would be like, hey, you know, you guys are from the hood in LA, you should come to our hood and check it out, you know. So I'd go, okay, cool, I'll roll, you know, because these guys can't really go into every neighborhood, every city we're touring in.
Yes.
And I would go most of the time, and maybe one of the other guys in the crew, and I just started taking pictures of different people and different hoods and stuff like that all around the world and other countries. And I bring them back and show my friends and people like the photo lab, and they're like, man, these are amazing, these are really good, like you're onto something. And I was like, nah, I'm just taking pictures like everybody else, you know. And then I would see my photos compared to other people that were on tour with me, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I got some cool shots, and they'd show me their pictures, and they were just like real standard photos like that you would take with a throwaway camera. Right. And I was like, wow, you know, like what was he looking at, you know, when he was taking those photos? Like that's way off, you know. I'd look at mine, like say we were both in the same city, and like I took a picture of like the Eiffel Tower, like perfectly lined up in the center.
Yes.
And you could see all the shapes and the dimensions of like the way just everything was like lining up in the photo. And then I would see theirs, and the Eiffel Tower's leaning like the Tower Pizza, you know. I was like, it was a trip. I was like, man, these motherfuckers are, you know, what are they looking, or what are they doing here? And I started listening to people, and like the homies would always come over and look at my pictures, because I would get them developed at the 1 hour photo lab.
Okay.
So they would go like, hey, you got any pictures from the tour? And I, yeah, go ahead, check them out. And they'd be like, they'd get stuck looking at them. They're like, damn, these are bad, you know, like, fuck, you take good pictures. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, I just thought they were gassing me up, you know. And little by little, I just started taking, you know, more and more photos and showing them to, you know, more and more people. And because I was a tour manager, I was in charge of doing the press.
Yes.
So the record label would fax me every day the next day's press. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, a fax machine was like a thing that they would send like a letter through this machine, and it'd come out wherever your machine was, the same letter. And you'd trip out and be like, oh, okay, cool, you know. Like even that kind of shit blew me away, you know. And they'd say like set aside an hour a day, and here's 4 magazines or 4 different media outlets, so, you know, give each guy 15 minutes. So sometimes it was, you know, the photographer and the interviewer would show up, and the interviewer would take up 10 minutes of the 15. So I'd watch the photographer like scrambling, trying to take these classic shots of one of the best bands in the world at that time, and make enough different type of photos so that it could be like a 10-page spread in, you know, a big magazine. So I was like, fuck, man, that poor guy, you know. There's no way he got enough different looking shots for 10 pages.
Right.
So I would offer my photos of them live on stage or backstage. And some of the magazines at first were like, you know, the fucking Rowdy over here is trying to pitch himself to be, you know, a photographer. But they would look at my photos and they're like, you took these? I was, yeah, man, you know. I roll around with them everywhere they go, and I bust flicks here and there. So they started using them and paying me, you know, like at that time, I think I was getting like $500 a photo to be used in a magazine. And when they offered me that money at first, I thought like, oh fuck, okay, cool. I'm just, for $500, I'm winning. I'm just gonna give them the whole roll of film and the negatives and everything, because that was only $25.
Right.
So I'm like, fuck, they're paying $500 here. You take the whole shit, you know.
Right.
But they're like, no, we just want this picture. Make a photo of it, like a 8x10. Send that to us, and we'll send you the photo back. And we just, you know, we're paying to use it. So I started learning all the different terminology that they were using, like usage fees and, you know, embargo, like how long they get to use the photo and in what parts of the world. And I was like, okay. So the next time I would go to talk to somebody, you know, I go, hey, you know, I have some photos. You want to use them? You know, what's your usage fee usually? And I started learning the lingo. And that I was able to do pitches better to magazines because I knew what they were talking. I knew the same language.
Okay.
And my first magazines were, you know, the hip hop music magazines for that. And then a friend of mine who was in the car club with us, Oishi, he was one of the first guys to ship cars to Japan. He was a Japanese guy, and he wanted to be in our car club. And the president told him, if you want to be in our club, you got to move to LA because we don't have other chapters anywhere else in the world. So you want to be in our club, you got to come to East LA. So he packed up his whole family, came to East LA and got in our club. And then one of his friends, Ono, who had a magazine called Fine. It was like a lifestyle culture magazine. They had like surfing, skating, you know, music like hip hop, punk rock, you know, everything that was part of the youth culture.
Right.
They had like a section in this magazine. And Ono had hit up Oishi and was like, hey, since you're in LA and you're doing the lowrider scene, you should take pictures and send them to us. And he's like, I'm not interested in that. I'm a car builder.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to do cars, but I got two guys that are perfect for it. And we did a section called Low Life. It was me and Cartoon. And we kind of modeled it after Teen Angel. So I would put my photos on a board, and then Cartoon would draw all around the photos, like a frame and stuff to tie in, you know, what the story we were doing in the 2 or 4 pages that we'd do. And we started, I think we made like $400 a page. So we, you know, we were starting to, you know, get ourselves out there like that. And that took off. And then he ended up leaving that magazine. So then there was another magazine in LA called Industry Insider.
Yeah.
Which was Miles from Dub and Chang from Gorilla One, or Gorilla Union. Get mixed up with all these names. And then those guys had a magazine called Industry Insider. So me and Cartoon took Low Life to that magazine since the Japanese one had closed down.
Right.
And then we ended up taking that to a magazine called Mass Appeal and changed the name to Rides and Rims.
Okay.
But that's kind of how I got into shooting for magazines and shit like that.
Dope. You know, how did shooting pictures eventually transition into shooting videos?
There was a guy named Martin who passed away. He gave me a Super 8 camera. And he was a guy from London. He came to do a documentary on our car club, and he'd just hang out with us every day and film. And he's this big, like 6'6" English guy, and we'd always fuck with him. He was cool as shit. And we're like, hey mate, what's going on? And you know, he's like, hey man, I really want to see your photos come to life. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't know what the fuck he meant, you know. he's like, I'm gonna bring you a gift, and I was like, all right. So the next time he came, he brought me a little old school case with a Super 8 camera. It looks kind of like a gun. It's like a camera with a little cartridge of film, 8mm film, and it has like a pistol grip, and you just it's kind of like shooting a gun.
Right.
So you just pull the trigger every time you want to roll the film, and just point it at the fucking shit, and then you'd have like sick footage, because these cameras, the film looked, I would get black and white film, so it would look just like my photos, but now it's moving.
Now it's moving. Awesome.
And I told B-Real, I go, hey man, you should direct videos, because at this time Dre was, you know, it was like, it would say directed by this guy / Dr. Dre. Right. And directed by this guy / like Gary Gray and / Ice Cube. Yes. So I was telling B, like, hey, you should, since you're already the one writing the song, you already have the vision in your head, you should co-direct your music videos too, you know? Everybody else is doing it. Fuck it. And he was like, man, I'm cool, you know? I'm cool with writing music and doing some producing. You're the photo guy. You do that shit. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. So we send the label wanted a video for Psycho Realm, and B was like, you know, pitched me for it to the record label, and they were like, well, have him send his reel, which is like, you know, send all the work that he's done before, so that we could, you know, check out his work and consider him for it. And they told me that. I was like, well, fuck, I've never done a video, so how the fuck am I supposed to send a reel? And I sat there like the old days with two VHSs, and I had one VHS with all the film transferred on it, and I would record parts of that film, parts of that footage with another VCR, and I took it to a place and had them put the song on it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you know, a place in Hollywood that puts the song on the VHS with the footage, because the footage didn't have no audio on it. Okay. That's the thing with that camera. There's no microphone to it. So the label saw that demo tape that I made, and they're like, okay, cool, we'll give you the first video for B-Real's group Psycho Realm. I was like, all right. And then they liked the first one so much that they're like, you know, you want to do the second one? I was like, yeah. And they liked, because it was the same label as Cypress Hill. Right. They're like, you know, you did so good with those. You want to do Cypress Hill? You know, I don't remember if I did Green Thumb first or No Entiendes la Onda. Okay. But it went to those, and then Muggs had me do a track with Jizza and another one with Cool G Rap. And then Sendog had me do an SX10. Okay. So before I even went out into the video world, I had 7 videos from our camp that I directed. And I got in a video rep, and they took me into Interscope. And we met the video commissioner there. And the first thing we showed him was the SX10, because that was the newest. Right. And he was like, I want you to do a video like this, shot like this, for a band I have coming out called D12. And he goes, it's Eminem's group. And I was like, oh man, I'm in. Let's do this. And at the same time, Paul was managing Cypress Hill and Eminem, Paul Rosenberg. Yeah. So it was like all in the family. We were like, let's do this, you know? Yeah. And I ended up doing the first video for D12. It was called I'll Shit on You. Okay. And then little by little, started pitching myself to more people, more groups, and ended up doing Blink 182 and Paul Wall and Alchemist, and it just snowballed from there.
So is it safe to say, Esteban, that you didn't set out to be a photographer and you didn't set out to be a director shooting videos? It pretty much just all came along. It happened for you?
Yeah, like 100%. That's pretty much how it happened, because I never thought I was going to be a photographer or anything. And then once it started doing good for me, and I started seeing, because I was a tour manager, I got to see the budgets. I got to see everything on the back end from the label and the group side, so I knew how much videos paid.
Yeah.
I knew what the budgets were. I knew how they broke them down because I would get all the information, and I knew the same thing with every album packaging. So then I started telling B, I was like, hey, me and Cartoon should do the album covers for Cypress.
Yeah.
You know, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So he would tell them, hey, don't worry about getting us anybody. We're going to do it ourselves. And the label was like, oh, okay. You know, they kind of were like, they wanted to get their people in.
Right.
And B was like, no, we're doing our own thing. And, you know, Muggs and Sen, you know, of course, backed it up. And so now you have the whole group telling the label, you know, we're using our guys, sorry, you know. And I already knew how much we were going to get paid.
Yeah.
And the label was kind of like, you know, I go, hey, what's the budget on this one? It's the same as last time, right? And they're like, yeah, you know, they were bummed because they wanted to, like, you know, lowball us.
Of course.
So once we started doing album packaging and videos, and we're like, man, we could do this, you know. We did one job a month, we'd be cool. Like one big job a month.
Yeah.
And that's when me and Toon started Soul Assassin Studios, and we called it SA Studios. And we started doing all kinds of, you know, album packaging for different groups and videos for different groups. And we kind of had like a little spider web down there in downtown LA. We had a loft, and, you know, we'd bring somebody in for a tattoo, and they would end up leaving with, you know, a logo, a photo shoot for their album cover, a video,
That's
a
awesome.
box of Joker clothes. Like, we're like a one-stop shop for the hip hop.
Right. When we, you know, before we go to break, I just want to nail something down real quick. When we come back after break, we'll talk a little bit about Joker brand. But I wanted to ask you, you being a director and shooting videos and being a photographer and being in the rap game, okay? You've already toured. You've got to meet and greet so many rappers. Did you ever meet, and you don't have to drop any names if you don't want, but any artist, whether they were rappers or not, that were just fucking assholes when it came time to either shoot their videos or take photo shoots? Like maybe he showed up late, maybe I don't feel like shooting right now, or any type of attitude towards you?
Yeah, you do, because you know, like most photographers, they didn't have what I had behind me.
Okay.
You know, they weren't like, they weren't part of a multi-million record selling, you know. I was with Cypress Hill. They'd sold at that time like 18 million records, and
Yes.
I'm from that crew.
Yes.
In the group, you know. So if I'm going to shoot somebody, they might think I'm just some photographer.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like people, like media people, would get shit on by artists, you know, because
Yes.
motherfucker, magazine motherfuckers, or photographer, you know, writer, whatever, you know, they would kind of shit on them, not knowing or not thinking that, you know, these people are helping you promote your art form.
Yes.
So you should just be cool to them, you know, be like nicer to them. This dude's gonna get a great picture of you, hopefully.
Yeah.
That'll make you look cool to everybody that's gonna see these photos. Because at that time there was no social media.
Right.
The only time you would ever see a photograph of your favorite rapper was by a photographer like me that was shooting for a magazine. And that's how you got to see what the hip hop community looked like, or you got to see what lowriding looked like if you were in another part of the world and you weren't in that world. You know, like if you wanted to see fashion from New York, you either had to get a magazine and trip out on it and read it and look at the pictures, or you had to call your travel agent and go to New York yourself.
Right.
So most of the stuff people were seeing was from photographers, and
yes.
sometimes, you know, you'd show up to a thing and I would tell them, you know, I'd go to meet the guy and I'd be like, hey, what's up, homie? You know, I'm Estevan from Cypress Hill, Soul Assassin family. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Yo, what's up? What's up with your boys? I go, they're cool, they're chilling, you know. So it automatically broke the ice with them.
Okay.
But sometimes I'd show up and the dude would start acting like a dick right off the top. And I wouldn't want to tell him who I was, rolling with, because I wasn't gonna act in a cool way, maybe. So I didn't want to make the homies look bad, because I wasn't gonna take their shit, If somebody was gonna act like a dick, I was gonna be like, well, cool, fuck it, I don't even need to do this shit. I'm out of here. I'm gone.
Yeah.
The magazine would call, hey man, we heard you left the photo shot. I was like, yeah, homeboy's acting like an idiot, trying to treat me like some fucking peon. Fuck that lame,
Yeah.
I ain't down with that. So I would never like put the crew on the front line with that,
Right.
If I was gonna act up, I would just do it on my own, and
Right.
I let them see me somewhere later at another function, and be like, oh man, you should have said something. You should have said, but I'm like, you shouldn't have to say who you're with for you to be cool. You should just be cool from the gate.
Absolutely. And that's why I tell everybody, respect everyone, because you never know who you may be talking to.
Yeah, never.
And I understand you saying, you know what, I wasn't going to throw Cypress Hill, because I know people right away will say, it was somebody from Cypress Hill.
Right.
That's
all. That always happens. As
Yeah.
soon as somebody gets punched in the face, it was like, oh, that was that fool who sings for Cypress Hill. And that wasn't him. It was one of the homies that rolled in with us, and you were acting like an idiot, and you got touched up. And that was, that's what happened.
Right.
Like, there were those type of cities, because we got into a lot of shit, different cities.
Okay.
We'd go to places, and if you're from like a hood in another city, then those guys are, they want to let you know that you're in their city type of shit, you know? And we're like, we're cool with everybody. We're respectful and nice to everybody, but we're the last ones that are gonna, punk out,
Exactly.
So we'd get into it in different cities, and some of the shit we get into is pretty crazy, like full all-out riots,
You know what? Let's press pause right there, and we'll pick it up from right there when we come back, because it's getting good.
Yep.
It's getting better. So once again, everybody, call somebody, text somebody. As a matter of fact, page somebody if you still have a pager, and slap the shit out of them. Let them know that Estevan is in the motherfucking building, okay? I'm going to go grab me a Modelo, maybe a couple of shots. So if you guys need to go take a crap, make some popcorn, order a pizza, make sure you guys come back and tune in, because we're about to get into some more history.
And wash your hands.
Wash your hands, yes, big time.
Yo, this is how I see it. Tony A chilling at the Roadium with my homeboy Steve. Be on the lookout for our new 12-inch. The shit is dope. Yo, I like to say what's up to my homeboy Dre, my homeboy Prince of Jazz, and the girls with the big ol' ass. So Trip, I'm about to bust one more time to let y'all niggas know just what's on my mind.
In the morning, police at my door. Fresh to be the squeak across my bathroom floor. Out my back window, I make my escape. Didn't even get a chance to grab my old school tape. Mad with no music, but happy 'cause free. And the streets to a player is the place to be. Got a knot in my pocket weighing least a gram.
Lonzo, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You sure?
Motherfucker, I'm ready, goddamn!
Like it ain't shit, cause I'm a player motherfucker named DJ Quick. It's a full-time jack move. Billy Joe, yo, homie, make the track move. Freestyle, me, mama, get the big check, yeah. Sweat dripping, girl is in the middle when you chill. Walked in the house, got shot. 1, 2, 3. Motherfucker, don't down this shit. This is it, y'all. Daddy. I'm kick your ass.
Cut. We're good.
And we heard about this young kid from the Harbor area named Tony A. And he was a DJ, Holmes, and he was going in with the big stars, you know what I'm saying? And he was like one of us going in and infiltrating inside of all these MCs, you know what I'm saying?
A Rhodium mixtape is just mixed of different types of music, no matter what genre it is. And like I said, it's like making your own musical movie.
When La Raza came out, man, even the amount of sales of the single of La Raza that got moved out of the Roadium was crazy, bro. And that song just got played and was played in all the stands over there. And I was blessed to go back one time, even to see it, and I want to say in 91 or 92.
Although they were not black, they were Oriental, Asian, whatever you want to call them, they were cool. And they embraced everybody, blacks, Latinos, whoever came to the swap meet to want to buy music, they were record people.
Ice Cube getting dumb at the Roadium with the funky drum, and you know my man Steve can get some. With a fool like Tony A when he plays stupid dope shit by WA. You wanna spray? Dumb motherfuckers, no doubt. And sucker DJ, get the fuck out. Tony A.
What did you say your name was? What did you say?
Tony A. I have won 1 million battles. Lights, cameras, action sound. Give me that mic.
Thinking of a master plan.
This story's funny. I met this girl and she had money.
Once again, everybody, welcome back to Rhodium Radio episode 45, and I'm your host, Tony A, the Wizard, and we're going to jump right back into it. I went and got myself a shot. I went and made myself a michelada with Modelo, not Corona, okay? And I offered my guest, Estevan, some, but he said he's good. So we're good. So, you know what?
I'll take a shot with you.
Okay, cool. You know what? Somebody go get him a shot glass. There's a shot glass over there. But I had a question before we get back into it. Maybe within this year or last year, any good movies you watched lately that you can recommend people to watch? Anything good?
Not just because I got Joker brand, but I'd say Joker was a bomb-ass movie.
Okay.
And also 1917.
Go ahead and put it right there, Deej. 1917, okay.
Yep. And, you know, I kind of trip out on the old school movies.
Okay.
That, you know, I could watch old school movies like 20 times. Easy.
Oh, shit.
You know, the ones I like.
Uh-huh.
Or I just hop on Netflix and watch some documentaries. I just saw that one, The King of Tigers, I think it's called. And
this guy right here recommended that to me. I started watching it last
Yeah.
night. I'm on my third episode.
Yeah, I watched them all.
Oh, how did you end up liking it?
It's crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy shit that happened between those three people. You know, it's about the three people that have Big Cat rescues, and one of them says she's for PETA, and the other two guys are just like having fun, and they have little zoos and entertainment things.
Right.
But it's funny how the story unfolds about all three of them.
Okay. Now let me ask you a quick question about that, because I didn't watch all of them. I'm only on my third one. When you start talking about the woman that might have killed her husband.
Yeah.
Do you think she did?
I mean, if you look at her and when I was watching her, just like in the first and second episodes, I was like, man, she looks way out. Like there's something more going on than somebody who loves big cats, you know?
Right.
And then when they start saying, you know, they start getting more into it, and you start going, oh yeah, I have a feeling she did. But if it's like, if you're thinking that in the first and second episode before they even suggest that there's
Yes.
something a little off about the way she is, then you're like, when it comes to the point where they're talking about what she might have done,
Yeah.
you're like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Makes
But
sense.
if you as a viewer can see that and think that, and I'm not a DA or an attorney or a cop or a rocket scientist or anything, but you just see the way she acts and then the things that they say she might have done.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, it's very, very possible.
Yeah. Tiger King, if I'm correct. Tiger King is the name of the...
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiger King. So if you guys want to watch something, you guys are bored, well, you guys are home quarantined up, Netflix, Tiger King. It's pretty entertaining. It's pretty different.
Or Don't Fuck with Cats.
Don't Fuck with Cats is another crazy one.
Another psycho-ass documentary. Crazy motherfuckers.
I like that. I like that. So now, before that, you know what? You want to take the shot right now?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Here you go. Me and Estevan right here, taking a shot. Everybody.
Coronavirus.
So, wait. Okay. So we were talking about you with Cypress Hill, confrontations or possible riots, or shit's getting rowdy. Something's good. Can you share one of those two stories that might stand out to you?
Yeah, one time we were in New York, and we were in like upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a small town, did a show there. Went to after the show was over, we were like, hey, well, we're here for the night. Let's go out and go to some parties, some bars, whatever, and see what's up over here.
Yeah.
We don't have to leave till the morning, so we can go out and party and sleep in and leave in the next day on the bus. So we all rolled out. I think it was the Soul Assassin tour. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And so there was like a good maybe 10 to 15 of us out of maybe 30 of us.
Okay.
That night they went out and went to a couple bars, and at each bar we'd go to, we'd pick up a girl or two, and they would go with us to the next bar.
Yeah.
So finally at the last one, we rolled in, and we were with a bunch of like the local girls were hanging out partying with us. And I guess some of the local guys, they didn't like that who the fuck are these guys coming over here, taking our women type of shit.
Yeah.
And started popping off to us, and it turned into a big huge brawl, like where people from other bars were coming out and going, who the fuck are these guys, and we're just going heads up with everybody. And we're from the city, from LA, and
right.
We kind of knew that was our world,
Yeah.
like they were, even though we weren't in our city, that was our realm.
Right.
And they came up talking shit, thinking we were just gonna talk shit or whatever, I don't know, pushing and shoving and all that kind of shit, but we just went straight to bombing on fools, and they weren't expecting it. And we kicked up some dust over there.
Yeah.
And a couple of us got arrested, because once the cops came, they're like, it was kind of like, who's fucking with my town type of thing. And they started arresting a couple of our guys, and all those guys just came out of the woodwork, pointing fingers, snitching on all of us.
Snitching and shit.
Yeah, he punched me in the face, that guy. I go, man, nobody did nothing to you. So a couple of us were able to escape, when all the commotion was going on with the cops, we took off. And I remember I had a bunch of scabs, or cuts on my fingers.
Yeah.
And, teeth and everything. And then the next day, they were going to send the cops to the show to identify, to get somebody to identify who was in the fight.
Wow.
And I remember I had short hair, but I cut it like an old man. I shaved it like on the top, like the kind of like the punk rock or skateboard guys
Right.
used to. So I just had hair around the sides and the back, like a businessman, like an old businessman. And the cop came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you know, we're looking for some guys that were in an altercation last night." I go, "Oh, okay. What'd they look like?" And I took my hat off, you know, so I looked like an older white man like him, you know. But I was dressed in you know, a windbreaker and some baggy jeans and shit. And I had fucking, you know, cuts all on my knuckles and they're like, "Yeah, well, you know, a couple guys came to our small town here and stirred up some shit and got into some shit, and they're, you know, fucking with some of our boys." And I was like, "Man, well, do you know who they are or what they look like or anything?" No, you know, they just told us to come here and like see who, you know, what we could find out. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Man, I don't know, I can't help you, you know." But it was one of those cases where like the cops talking to the guy who was doing it, and
Right.
it was funny, you know.
That's dope. That's dope. Now, you know what? Switching gears up a little bit here. How was the Joker brand, if you will? How did that flourish? How did that come to be?
Well, that it started. I would say in 1992, when I met Cartoon. He was already drawing and working with clothing companies, and my friend Big Lucky that I brought in to work in the clubs and the construction with me, he grew up in Santa Monica also. One of the guys for the house that we're doing construction on was like, "Hey, I want to open up a store on Melrose, like with, you know, some of your guys' gear, like some like Chicano stuff or
Yeah.
hip hop stuff." So we made a store called Supermax on Melrose Avenue. It was like one of the first streetwear places ever, and we had an account with like Dickies and Nike and Levi's, and then I brought in the Cypress Hill and House of Pain merch, and then they wanted their own in-house line to sell there with the Supermax logo and stuff. So I brought in Cartoon and introduced him to Lucky, and Cartoon did like the first maybe 10 designs of
Okay.
Supermax. And then the owner of that store got funky and, you know, started doing scandalous shit. So we separated ourselves from him, and we did another clothing line called Not Guilty, and that turned into a clothing line called Scandalous. And at that same time, Cartoon was doing Crazy Life. And at the end of all that, because we were going through legal stuff with the names, another partner of ours had started Joker with Cartoon.
Okay.
And after the first season that they pitched it to buyers, they kind of wanted to go their own ways. So me and B-Real bought Joker and the inventory off of Cartoon and his partner, which we were all friends. We were all in the same car club.
Yeah.
So once we bought that, my friend Lucky had got out of prison because he went in when I had Not Guilty, and he came out when we had Joker. And me and B-Roll were so busy on the road that we brought him in as a partner to run the day-to-day at home in LA stuff with the clothing brand. So he was running Joker, and we were promoting it all around the world.
Okay.
And then we brought Cartoon back as an artist, and we'd pay him, you know, per designs, and got into a lot of different partnerships with the brand and a lot of fucked up situations. And now it's just back to me just making it for the hardcore fans. I just release old designs through, you know, from back in the day that, you know, people still like.
Right.
And sell it on my site.
Dope. And at the end, I want people to know where they can actually order or what your site is. I know we have your Instagram up where people can see your Instagram when you speak, but at the end, we'll be able to give it that site as well. Now, you know what? I know your name was, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, DJ Scandalous.
Yeah.
How did you get that name? Or before DJ Scandalous, do you have a different name? Or has that always been your name?
No, that was just like, you know, we just were doing like, it was more like having fun, you know. And I would I wasn't like scandalous like to my friends or my family, you know. We just do like wild shit, you know.
Okay.
And we're like, man, people are like, fuck, man, that's fucking scandalous right there, you know. And that kind of stuck. And then I just said, fuck it. If I'm going to DJ, I DJ'd from 95, 96, 97 with Cypress on the tour. And I was like, you know, fuck it. We'll just go with that name for the DJ. And that was that, you know. And ended up DJing the shows, and which was basically, I was running like the DAT player. We had the list of the show set, you know, on this DAT tape, and then I would just DJ in between or do scratching during the choruses. And then we moved up to that after people started like you would DJ a show with records, but once people would start jumping on the stage and getting into the music, the record would skip.
Yes.
So then we went to CDs, and that same shit started happening. Then we went to DATs, and the DATs were working good until you get into a humid environment, and then the DAT machine was shut down. So we ended up getting this one machine, you know,
the instant replay machine.
Instant replay, and we used that because we had seen Big Boy using it, and we were doing an interview, and we're like, "Hey, what's up with this?" And he's like, "Oh man, you can record, like you can even have a whole song on a button, and you can put your whole show, and then you can have effects and sounds on different buttons." And there was like 60 buttons, so we're like, "Oh fuck, cool, this is perfect." So we'd have like the first like 30 or 40 with any Cypress Hill song, just the tracks, TV tracks, and then we'd have the other 20 with different sound effects, like a siren or different shit, you know,
whatnot,
yeah, like guns or, you know, machine guns, shotguns or whatever. And we started doing the shows with the instant replay, and we'd play the instant replay on one feed in, and then we had the two turntables, so you could scratch with two turntables or whatever, or, you know, whatever the show needed, we had it covered.
Yes. You know, to me, I always say that that's a DJ's wet dream, to be able to be up there DJing for a dope ass group like Cypress Hill. Okay, and I did this with Quick, Second to None, AMG, and High C when we would all tour. That was like my crew. Quick had 2 instant replay machines. Why he had 2, I don't know, but he always had 2. I would bring one with all of his songs, all of our songs, and I had my 2 turntables up there. So to be able to play, you know, Born and Raised in Compton would come on, and I would do my scratching and shit like this. Shit is dope, man. Instant replay is dope.
Yeah,
you know,
that was the game changer for doing live shows.
Absolutely.
But now it's like you go to a show and you see the DJ, he's looking on the computer with the Serato.
Yes.
And they're just playing the song with the fucking lyrics on it, and the dude's doing the whole show, rapping, you know, and then like you'd see him, you know, you'd see him walking across the stage, and he puts the mic down, forgetting that, you know, the song's still playing with his lyrics going. You're like, man, what the fuck? Like,
I know.
You know, they didn't see the whole shit that Milli Vanilli and Ashley Simpson got for lip syncing.
Right.
You know, because now it looks like they're just lip syncing.
Yes. There's a lot of artists so many artists that do that today. I think it was 1 or 2 New Years ago where Mariah Carey was Times Square, and she was supposedly singing live. She put the mic down, and the lyrics were still going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, and you as a fan were like, that's fake.
It's fake.
But now it's like they're karaokeing to their own songs on stage. And it's fucking embarrassing, you know, for someone like Be Real.
Yes.
You can go to a show of his today in 2020, and he remembers every single lyric to every song that's playing, and he does it live.
Right.
And they could fucking take the track out on the mixer, like, you know, drop the track, and he could do it a cappella,
keep going,
and then go back in with the beat, and he's right on.
Yes, yes.
Like, that's a live show.
Yes.
You want to go to a concert, go see Cypress Hill, and maybe you could learn a thing or two. But you know,
absolutely. I apologize. I always like to give this example here. To me, for me, my best performances that I've ever seen, ever, I have to say it was Eazy-E and NWA at Anaheim Celebrity Theater. I went there like twice to go see them perform, and the energy was electric. It was insane. Second, I would have to say, and I'm going by order because this is how I seen him. Was KRS-One. I saw him at the Palace here in Hollywood. I think it was off of Hollywood and Vine, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Argyle.
Yeah, and I saw him.
Or no, the Palace.
The Palace, yes.
Yeah, that's Vine. I was thinking of the Palladium.
Okay, and I saw him just rock the crowd, straight hip hop show. Third, Cypress Hill. Crowd, I mean, the energy was just electric there. It's like to the point where you get the fucking goosebumps, you know what I'm saying? And you're just in the crowd like you're getting a show. I would have to say, after that, I saw the Ghetto Boys, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me album. We did a tour with them. And we saw them perform, and they were fucking insane, all of them. Bushwick Bill, rest in peace, you know, Scarface, and Willie D. All of them they just tore it up. After that, I would have to say, and I'm not just saying this because I was a part of them, but our first albums, the High C album, the DJ Quick, AMG, Second to None, because we would all go up on stage. And to me, and much love to Gritty Greg, who was their manager at the time, we killed shows. And now I'm on stage DJing. Now I'm feeling the goosebumps because everybody's rocking the damn show.
Yeah.
But Cypress Hill is definitely on my top 5 of all time. You know, and I told B-Roll that, and I told Sen Dog that, I even told Mello that, you know. And I DJed for Mello, but I said, you know what, Mello, I love you, brother, but Cypress Hill, Sen, and B.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, dope shows. Now, I wanted to talk to you about your 3 books, if I'm correct. LA Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Is it LA Portraits?
Yep.
And then, don't tell me. Damn it, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. This is Los Angeles.
Yep. That's
okay. Right. What inspired you? What encouraged you? What motivated you to move into the direction of doing a book? You know, because obviously these are collector's items. So, but what if you will, motivated you to move into that direction?
In the 90s, I had a bunch of pictures of low riding and gangsters, and I went to Japan.
Okay.
And I met a guy named Peter Ryan who had a photo agency called August, and he was from Australia, but he had a photo representation agency in Tokyo.
Okay.
Where they represented photographers, and somebody's like, hey, you know, you're doing photography, you should meet this guy when you go there. So we went there for a show, and I brought my portfolio of photos, and I showed it to him. He's like, hey man, you should do a book, this is incredible. And I started showing him the stuff, and he started doing like mini layouts. And right when we were getting towards the end and he was going to go start shopping it to publishers, a guy named Joe Rodriguez came out with a book called East Siders or East Side Story or something like that.
Okay.
And it was all gang members from like Maravilla and Evergreen. And I was like, fuck, well, there goes that. Because the era I come from is you don't bite somebody. Meaning you don't copy them or you don't do their style. If somebody's doing something, you go the opposite direction.
I'm glad you said that, because this generation, sad to say, doesn't know anything about biting. You don't do that shit.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, now they can't do anything original because everything's been done 100 times over. So I kind of have some compassion for them now. But back then, there were things, you know, like they say, like now they say there's no rock that hasn't been turned.
Yes.
You know, like everything's been seen and exposed.
Yes.
You know, you've seen every kind of person, every kind of. There's nobody hiding in the jungles no more. Like no kind of tribes. Everything's been seen. Everything's been done. Everything, you know it all. So, but back then, I was like, well, fuck it, you know. I guess I won't do this book. And I kept going. And I met a publisher online, Drago Publishing.
Yes.
They're from Italy. And they were like, hey, we want to do the gangster book on you. And I was like, no, I'm cool, you know, because this guy already did it like, fuck. At that time, it was probably like 10 years before, you know?
Okay.
So he goes, well, what do you want to do then? And I go, I want to do a book on women because nobody knows I shoot girls. And so he was like, okay, you know, I'll do that. But, you know, can we do the gangster one another time? I go, yeah, for sure. So we did the LA Woman, and the first like 6 months, he was like, man, I fucking told you should listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. You know, I wanted to do the gangster book. That shit would have sold crazy because LA Woman wasn't moving. Little by little, after the first 6 months, from 6 months to 2 years of it being out, it had sold out. That first production, which was 5,000 books, which is low in the photography. Well, it's low in the book publishing world, but in the photography book world, it's a high number.
Okay.
To move. And when that book sold out, I was like, hey, how about now? You know, motherfucker, I guess you weren't right. He was like, yeah, you got me. You know, me and him are like super tight. He's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
So he goes, okay, now can we do the gangster shit? I go, yeah, let's do it. But because Joe Rodriguez had done those two cliques mostly, and mostly like Latinos,
Yes.
I wanted to incorporate all different kinds of the hoods here in LA. So I put the homies in there, the Crips, the Bloods, and even the homies from Booyah, you know, the Samoans, just to show all the different types of cultures here in LA.
Yes. And
some iconic places in LA and some low riding in there. So that was what LA Portraits was. Then I did This is Los Angeles, which is like shows all the different genres that I've shot here in LA, like hip hop, celebrities, gangsters, low riding, women, and then like places in LA. And which is kind of like before I did books, I did a deck of cards.
Okay.
And it was like for playing poker and shit like that. So the hearts and the diamonds were the LA women, and the clubs and the spades were the homies.
Is that still available?
Yeah.
Okay.
So people were tripping out on those cards, and then I go, fuck it, I should do those books, make books out of that. So that's when we did LA Women and LA Portraits. And then This Los Angeles is a combination of all the different things that I've shot in LA for the past 25 years.
Awesome.
And which is kind of like both of those books, there was little elements of that, but then it sets it up for the next books that I want to do, which is low riding and hip hop. So those are the next books. The next book I'm working on right now is low riding.
That's what I was about to ask you. What book, if any, are you coming up next? But you're saying low riding.
Yeah, low riding and then hip hop.
Awesome. Now, I saw a picture that you shot Robert De Niro and Al Pacino together.
Yeah.
How was that photo shoot? As far as how was that interacting with them?
That was the most probably stressful photo shoot I've ever done because of who they are.
Okay.
To me, they were like the top of the game for me as a photographer.
Yes.
Like I told my wife at that time, I was like, I had shot Dennis Hopper, and I told her if I ever got to shoot Al Pacino or Robert De Niro, I could quit right then. I'll go work at Home Depot or wherever the fuck. I don't even care. Like I'm done. I've reached my peak. I'm cool. And a couple years later, so they had approached Cartoon to do a skateboard for some alternative marketing for the movie Righteous Kill, and they wanted him to do a skateboard with Rob Dyrdek. And I was like, fuck, Tunes, like that's cool, but Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are in that movie. We need to fucking do that shit. We need to do like the movie poster.
Right.
And our manager at that time was
you
like,
want another one, brother?
Sure.
Okay.
Warm it up. That shit gets you hot real quick.
Hell yeah. So, and it kills coronavirus from what I heard.
That's what I heard.
So,
but I told our manager, he was like, hey, slow down, you're moving too fast, But I told Tunes, hey homie, like Tunes does great impersonations of De Niro.
Really?
Yeah, like he can hit it spot on. He looks like him. Like if you go, hey, do the De Niro thing, you're looking at him and you're like, fuck, man, it looks just like him.
Okay. Please, I'm asking, please. I never asked anybody on Rhodium Radio, please, in all 45 interviews, help me get him here.
Well, he's watching right now. Tune, you got that?
Yes.
Right, come on through.
You got to do the De Niro. You got to do the De Niro for the Harbor area, brother. Okay.
Yes, sir. So I told him, I go, hey, homie, he's not gonna say nothing, but you can, They want to hear from you anyways. Because I wasn't invited to that meeting because sometimes I get too excited and they're like just keep him back in there, and when we need him we'll bring him out. So Toon and the manager went, and when he had an opportunity, he brought it up, and they're like, "What do you mean?" They go, "Well, we want to do like an alternative poster, kind of like at that time, Shepard Fairey had done one of our boy that did Joker for Johnny Cash."
Okay, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin. So Shepard Fairey had done an alternative poster for the marketing to make it kind of like a cool thing.
Yes.
Where the movie Johnny Cash. So we were like, yeah, we want to do something like that, but of this movie. But we want Esteban to shoot the photos, and then I'll draw something, and we'll make our own little poster. And they're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, but there's no the movie's over, so there's no way we could get those two guys to shoot again. But we'll give you the pictures from the set photographer.
Yeah.
And Cartoon saw the pictures, like, man, they're killing me with these photos. Like, he went back to the meeting. He's like, hey, there's no way we can get my boy to shoot him because those pictures weren't so good. And they're like, you know what, we heard that already. So
Right.
Fuck, we wish we could do it. And then they came back to us that there was a reshoot day where Robert De Niro was going to shoot on the Tuesday, and Al Pacino was going to shoot on the Thursday. So they're like, hey, come in and shoot, Al on the Tuesday, or Robert De Niro on the Tuesday. So I went there, I waited there for 8 hours.
Wow.
Nothing happened. And I was like, I called and when nothing happened, I told my partner that was working with us at SA Studios, like, hey, I didn't get the shot. And he's like, he goes, well, I have to tell him, that you didn't get it. So he sent an email to them saying, hey, Esteban wasn't able to get to shoot with Mr. De Niro today. And they're like, they sent an email to like 60 people in the production, like, hey, fucking Estevan Oriol did not get the shot today of Robert De Niro that we need for this thing, this
Right.
project. So it's over. We'll just have Cartoon draw the whole project. So to me, in big writing on that email, it
Right.
just jumped out at me like Estevan Oriol fucked up. That's how I felt, and I just was wrecked. I was like, "Fuck, man, I can't believe it!" Like, I was sitting there with fucking Robert De Niro all day, and I didn't get the shot. Like, I fucked mine off. Like, as great as I thought it was gonna be, it was a nightmare.
Right.
So I called my lady, and she's like, what do you mean you didn't get the shot? I go, I didn't get the shot. And she's like, well, I thought you were saying like if I ever got to shoot Robert De Niro, I'd fucking quit and blah blah. I was like, yeah, I fucking said that, She goes, well, I thought that was like your dream or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it is. And that was, And she goes, well, why didn't you just grab that motherfucker in a headlock and tell him, hey, let's go do this photo real quick? And I go, because it ain't like that,
Right.
Like, these dudes they're the top of the food chain,
Yes.
And there's like 30 people kissing their ass. The last thing they're going to let me do is say, hey, Mr. De Niro, come here, I need to shoot you.
Yes.
So she's like, I don't know, man. It don't sound like, the guy I married, I thought I was married the motherfucker that, was with the functions, So,
yeah. She got to put you on check, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hotter than fucking fried chicken grease,
Speaking of shots.
Yeah.
Speaking of shots, salud.
One more.
Salud.
This one's for the road.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there's no CHP out there.
No.
So, I called up my partner after she got me all fired up, and I was like, hey, man. She's like, you need to tell them that, you didn't get the shot, but you're going to be there tomorrow to get the shot. Like, it didn't happen today, but you'll be there tomorrow. I was like, I can't fucking just tell them I'm going to go do the, photo shoot at their movie set. She's all, I would. So I was like, fuck, man. So I called my partner. I go, hey, man. Shout out to Marco Valadez. And I said, hey, Marco, just tell them I'm going to come back and I'm going to get the shot of De Niro tomorrow. And I go, don't ask him. Just tell him, hey, Esteban didn't get the shot today, but he'll be there tomorrow. So he calls them and tells them that, and they're like, okay, cool. Well, hey, guess what? Remember I said on the Tuesday was De Niro, Thursday was Al Pacino?
Right.
Well, they forgot, or they didn't tell us that Wednesday they're both going to be there.
Wow.
So they go, oh, no problem. Tomorrow they'll both be there. He can just knock them both out, and he don't have to come back on Thursday to shoot Al. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, fuck, why didn't they just do that in the beginning?
Yeah.
So the next day I'm there for 6 hours. I went to I have my go-to camera that I shoot everything on is a Canon AE1. And my backup camera when I want to shoot like the big dogs was this big, huge, clunky camera. It's called Pentax 672.
Oh.
It's huge. It's like a big fucking ordeal. So I went to the camera store and I bought another Canon A1 just for backup, just in case something fucked up. So I get there, we're sitting there for 6 hours, me and Marco, and it's cold as fuck in Culver City, and my shit's sitting outside the whole day, and we're out there waiting, and 6 hours goes by, and they go, hey, where's that guy that had to shoot the guys? And I go, I'm right here. And they go, are you ready? I was like, yeah, I'm ready, let's go. You know, so right then, as soon as I said I'm ready, the doors bust open, and there's Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. They push the door open, and there's like 20 people behind them.
Wow.
Like the manager, the stylist, the accountant, the security, like everybody that rolls with them was there. And they go, okay, so what's up? Where do you want us? And I was like, oh, go right here against this door. And it was like one of those roll down doors. And I went to go get my Canon AE1 Old Faithful, and I tried to fire it off, and it didn't go. And I was like, fuck this fucking camera, fuck it, it's cool. I got the backup, no problem, the brand new one. I open up the brand new one, I try to shoot that, it doesn't work. I'm like, fuck, man, both of my cameras aren't working. Like, what the fuck is wrong? And I go to the Old Faithful, you know, the Penthouse, the big one, the Pentax, I mean, and I fired it off, and it went off, and Al Pacino was waiting. He was like, oh yeah, I like that one. Ooh yeah, click clack, yeah, that's a good one right there. And I was like, oh cool, fuck. So he was into it, and I told him, like, to break the ice with them, I told Al Pacino, I was like, hey man, I met you at a birthday party for one of your friends, and I was supposed to shoot you there. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember that would have been cool, you know. So I broke the ice with him, and he was cool. And then I told Robert De Niro, hey, I know your stepdaughter. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. So I had broke the ice with both of them, and now I was like kind of like on the cool side of them. Yeah. And I could kind of like give them a little bit of direction. So with that camera, the rolls of film, there's only 10. So I shot 10 photos, and then I went to switch, and they're like, okay, great, thank you. I was like, oh, hold on, you know, I got one more roll. And they let me shoot 5 frames of that, and they're like, okay, thank you. Bobby, Al, we need you over here on the next shot. And I was like, you know, like it was over, you know, 15 photos, and it was done.
It was done, yeah.
It wasn't like today's day with the camera, you know, you're like, you know, like spray and pray and hope you get one.
Spray and pray.
Yeah, this was like 15 shots, and if I fucked up really bad this time, you know? Right. So I took that film to the photo lab, and I told them, hey, I love you guys, you're the shit, but I need to stand right next to you and watch you develop these rolls of film. They're the most important rolls I've ever shot in my life.
Yes.
And I need to watch you develop them. And I saw them fucking developing. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I got it, you know?
Dope.
And so I called Marco, and I told him, I called Marco and Cartoon, and I told him, hey, man, I got the shot. And they're like, you did? And I go, I got that shit. We're in. Took it back to the SA Studios. Cartoon did the logo, did the you know, original font for Righteous Kill. Our boy Patrick Martinez, he did the layout. And we took it to pitch it, and they loved it. They ended up putting it on all the billboards, on the back of buses, on the DVD cover.
Awesome.
And it worked out great, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm done with photography. I'm going to go get a job at Home Depot. And it was over, you know. But then the bills kept coming in. I was like, fuck that, you know. I got to keep it
going.
Keep it going, yeah.
Dope. Well, you know what? I'm going to do this, man. I love that fucking story. That was dope. That was dope. Now, I just have 2 more questions, then we're out of here.
Go ahead.
Much love, once again, and respect to Shady and Baldacci. You filmed and directed a documentary, if I'm correct, on Baldacci?
Yeah, we have a documentary, me and Cartoon, coming out called LA Originals on Netflix. And that's a story of 25 years of me and Cartoon's journey through life and through the industry and low riding and all that. And when we were done with that, that was supposed to be previewed at South by Southwest. It was a headliner of the film festival. It was going to be our big break, our big day in Hollywood. And thanks to the coronavirus, that shit got shut down. So now it's just going to be released on April 10th on Netflix worldwide. And they translated in like every language. And so what I was doing up until that point was I was like, I don't want to go there and they'd be like, oh, we love this. This is great. What else do you have? You know, and I'd be like, well, what do you mean what else? This is it, you know? So I kept going with that energy, and I put it into, I started doing a documentary, like a short documentary on one of the other homies in the documentary. His name is OG Lepke, and I did one on Baldacci.
Okay.
So those were my next two. I was going to do 2 little short docs, like a little short documentary series, like, you know, homies on the street that been through some shit and survived it and came out of it on the other end doing positive shit.
Awesome. And are there release dates on those?
No, I'm still in the editing process with those, and I just want them to be tight, because after you come out with a documentary on Netflix, like, you can't half step and come out with something, you know, not as good or better, you know. So with those 2 documentaries, I'm making sure that they're all the way tight, you know.
Okay, now LA Originals, how long is that?
I believe it's 90 minutes.
90 minutes, and that's April 10th?
April 10th on Netflix worldwide.
Worldwide, and that's about you and Mr. Cartoon.
Yeah, like our journey since we met till now. That's and awesome. All the stuff we've been through, like, you know, coming up in the industry, all the industry shit, and then where we're at now.
Awesome. So once again, everybody, LA Originals, April 10th, Netflix, Mr. Cartoon and Estevan Oriol documentary. Make sure you guys check that out. I had one more question. Well, that was actually my second question. I was going to ask you about the Baldacci and then yours. But, somebody hit me up and said, what type of, if you will, advice or encouraging words would you give to today's photographers? I guess that are trying to climb the ropes, if you will.
Today I would just say, you know, wash your hands, stay inside, because we're going through the coronavirus. But after this shit, I would say go out there and shoot as much as you can, get your IG popping, and you know, shoot some video content while you're shooting, or have somebody shoot some video content so you can have that little video element, BTS type thing, you know, behind the scenes type of thing going along with it. And, you know, now you don't have to have a photo agent that represents you to pitch you to magazines, or you don't have to have a video rep that pitches you to artists to do their videos. You can do it, or you don't need magazines anymore. You can do it all yourself on your IG, your Facebook, or your YouTube page, or Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
Like social media, basically.
Any cameras that you would recommend?
I would say if you want to do film, Canon 81s are super easy.
Okay.
And if you got money or big baller, I would get a Leica, because those are like the Cadillacs of cameras. And if you want to do video footage, I would say a Blackmagic. They're kind of on the cheaper side. Or a Canon 5D Mark IV.
Okay.
They shoot video and stills.
Okay, let's just say I tell you, hey, Esteban, you know what? I don't have that much money. I make about 40 a year. What kind of camera would you recommend on the low side?
Well, now you can get used shit on OfferUp or Let It Go. For cheap, that is still in that higher end realm. You know, there's like, or you can go to Best Buy and, you know, finance shit. You know, there's like, there's no excuses anymore. Back in the day, like, everything was like, I use a camera for a lot of videos. It's called a Bolex 16mm. camera that they used to film in the Vietnam War, shoot actual film and footage. When I bought my first one, I bought it for 4 G's. It was like 4,500. When I bought my second one, it was 400, because that's when the digital era came in.
Right.
And they still have them for $400. So there's no excuses anymore.
Okay.
You could buy a cheap film camera for the Canon 81s. You could buy for $150 online or with lenses and everything. Or the digital, you could finance them at Best Buy, or you could buy them on OfferUp or Let It Go. Somebody doing bad,
Yeah.
Right now you get the best deals on everything.
Okay. Now, at this point, any shout-outs you want to give as we close?
Oh, man. Shit. Shout out to everybody, way I don't forget nobody. Shout out to everybody, that ever helped me in my career. Of course, Drago Publishers, Netflix, Underground, Brian, Sebastian, Francisco, of course, Cartoon, Cypress Hill, House of Pain, all the Soul Assassin crew, and Big Lux, Cypress Hill, I already said that one, Joker, and all our clothing companies.
Dope.
And
Okay. Now your website is?
My website is EstevanOriol.com.
EstevanOriol.com, everybody. And I'm going to give a shout out, if you don't mind, to your wife for encouraging you to take that picture.
Yeah, of course. My family, they're the ones that inspired me to work so hard, because I had so much on my plate, that I had to work extra hard because I had a good sized family.
Dope. Okay.
Shout out to my pops for giving him and his wife for giving me the camera. Shout out to my mom, rest in peace. She's the one who made me work hard,
Yeah.
She taught me that hard work pays off, and there's no shortcuts. It's all about working hard.
Yeah.
She'd even get kind of burned out of me doing like a freelance type of job. She's like, why don't you go get a normal job, a regular job that pays good? You're smart. You could do that. Because, when you do freelance work, it's a lot of ups and downs.
Yes.
There's times where there's times where I haven't worked for 3 months, a paid job. And, going through that, when you're thinking like you have a family, you have mortgage, you have rent, you have car insurance, medical insurance, all these bills, and you're not working for 3 months, you're like, fuck, what do I do? Do I quit now and go get a regular job, or do I just keep pushing and work through this part?
Right.
So there's that, you have to think about when you're doing a freelance type of work.
Right.
And luckily I pushed through it, and everything works out in the end. Is one thing I've learned.
Awesome. There's one thing that you shared right now about your mother, rest in peace, that reminded me of this quote, that there is, on the road to success, there is no elevator. You have to take steps or the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, let me give a shout out to you and thank you for allowing me to interview you. Being here in my presence is truly an honor. I'm truly humbled. I'm truly thankful that you came here and given me the time.
Of course.
Other than that, let me say something, and I'm glad that Cartoon is watching. I don't have any tattoos. I don't have any. But let me say this. I told Cartoonist when I interviewed him for the DOCUMIXERY, I said, if I were to ever to get any, I'm gonna be 52 this Saturday.
Yeah.
And I said, if I were to ever get any tattoos, it would be by him.
Yeah.
It would be by him. I don't care what it costs, okay? But if I were to get any tattoos, it would be by him, and it would probably surround like something about my mother, because my mother has gone on to be with the Lord. So
yeah.
So anyways, everybody, I'm gonna give my shout outs, and let me give my shout outs to John motherfucking Elkins, because without him, this shit wouldn't be possible. So I want to thank him. John motherfucking Elkins is coming out with his lotion. He's coming out with his high heels. Coming out with his wigs.
Damn.
He's coming out with his anal bleach.
That's
He's coming
right.
out with his glitter,
Right.
stripper glitter. So be looking out for all that. Hit him up on John motherfucking Elkins on IG. I want to thank my boy DG Media Clips, Daniel Jones. You can reach him on IG DG Media Clips. And Julian Gonzalez, he brought me a dope Pendleton from where? Greenspans. I'm aware that on my next show on Sunday. So want to thank him. And once again, my son B. Scanless and my brother Ruben for watching the show. And once again to Estevan Oriol for coming on the show. So I'll see you guys Wednesday. God bless and be safe. Stay quarantined. And Rowdy MIXTAPE DOCUMIXERY. Check it out.
My last shout out is to Baldacci and Shady at Effort Music. The homies that hooked me up with all this.
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely.